World, what's shaking? It's 9/11. I'm Chad. It's an episode of This Life Ain't For Everybody, and this day always puts things into perspective of how blessed we are. And knowing where we were, remembering where we were on that morning. I'm on the West Coast, so we were getting feeds of it after it happened a little bit. We're 3 hours behind New York, but to see what was going on and what our brothers and sisters were doing just because they got up to go clock in and go to work at their office that they've been going to for years. Some of them might have been their first day at work. There was UPS delivery men and women in the building. There was catering going on. There was plumbers fixing pipes. There was receptionists, people answering phones, big meetings going on, big meetings getting ready to go on. And then the whole world was disrupted. And my guest today is one man that can get us through a time like that. And I'm sure that he has thought about that day many times in the lyrics that he writes. He's my absolute 100% favorite songwriter in America. I always compare his talents to Jamie Johnson and, Brent Cobb, thank you for being here again, my man.
Howdy, old buddy.
Do you remember where you were?
Oh, man. Yeah, I was in 10th grade, 9th grade. I was in 9th grade Spanish class. And our Spanish class was split into two. There was one lady, Miss Arnold, that was the main teacher. And then we had a guy named Dr. Lopez that would come in and teach. And my portion of the class got split up. We were in Dr. Lopez's class. And he was drawing on the board the trade centers and planes flying into the trade centers as a demonstration. And we thought he was just giving a demonstration for us to say in Spanish. And we didn't know that it was that, as he was telling us, that's what happened this morning. And once we realized that, it blew. I mean, it was the oddest, eeriest feeling I've ever felt. And as everybody, what's crazy is a few days ago, I was looking up videos of, this sounds morbid, but I didn't do it morbidly, but I looked up videos of people that were, there's a lot of footage of people just jumping out all together out of the World Trade Center. And I did it to, you imagine being in that situation where you're trapped, and I mean, just listening to the phone calls, of people calling their husbands or wives and saying, I'm on the 83rd floor and it doesn't look good. And I mean, I can't imagine, that day they got up and had their last cup of coffee and kissed their kids for the last time. And I just can't even imagine, man. But when you watch those videos, there's almost something calming, because in a lot of those videos, people all at once who had worked together, who every day had come to the same office and had conversations around a coffee pot together, who probably attended each other's kids' birthday parties together. Like, that day they decided together that they weren't going to sit in this room and suffocate to death together. They all jumped together, which is insane. It's incomprehensible. I can't even imagine. But and then you think about the heroes that just went in, the firefighters and the police and everybody who just, you remember this too. I was old enough to know. If I'd have been a little younger, I may not have understood, but I was old enough to know in 9th grade. I think I was in 9th grade to understand. I witnessed the whole country come together. And you did too. Do you remember everybody the day after 9/11?
Oh, yeah.
And how any kind of petty stuff that just doesn't matter, like all that was aside. It was all about love and support and compassion and empathy, and all the trivial stuff was out the window. You remember how beautiful that moment was?
Yeah, when you talk about it, it makes you think, like, why does it take the anniversary 19 years later of this day to spark the conversation? I'm not just specifically pointing you and I out. I'm talking about the compassion, the empathy. Like, where is that, like, on a more consistent basis throughout our homes, our communities? And I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just saying, like, at this time in our lives, with how weird this year has been, hopefully some people get some of that back today, of sitting there going, this is what our country's really supposed to stand for, right? And now it's almost like, when you say it the way you just did, Brent, it's like, yeah, man, why can't people understand it? Why did it take that kind of a catastrophe, and seeing our brothers and sisters fall like that and make that decision to jump out of a skyscraper building to get us there?
I think it's partly because, like anything in life, that life is not forever. It's all going to end for everything and everybody at some point. It's all going to end. And I think when you take a moment like that, a super sad catastrophe, it wakes everybody up for a second to realize that the normal day-to-day, mundane, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday life is something we've created to take our minds off the fact that it's all temporary. And when something happens to make you go, holy shit, we're all not here forever, you know, it makes you realize, because there are a lot of people that lost their lives that day, and it forces you to realize that this is all temporary. You know,
when you start talking about the word temporary, Brent, and you're from where you are, and you do believe in a higher power, you're a God-fearing Christian man. Do you live in the mindset of blessings and privileges of that you were put on earth? You're given what you're given because it's not yours. Do you know where I'm going with that question? It's not really yours, but we have to realize that we are doing it for a different reason. I know that you don't preach, you don't go out. I know you're very spiritual. I know that I've never seen you go out and preach or get on your new song has a lot to do with this, which we'll get into, but do you live by knowing that none of this is ours? Because I'm starting to feel that more and more as I watch my daughter grow up.
Yeah, well, it's all, yeah. I mean, I believe in Jesus, you know. I believe it's all a blessing just to experience life at all. But now I've had a pretty decent life. You know, we weren't broke. We were broke, probably more broke than I imagined growing up. You know, we didn't have a whole lot, but we weren't suffering either. You know what I mean? Like we weren't. Life in some places is a lot worse. So it's hard to say that. I mean, maybe for everybody, it's a tricky situation, man, because it's all. It's kind of a blessing to even get to experience it at all, to just get to experience life at all, bad and good, the good with the bad. Yeah, I don't know. My experience is different than your experience. You know what I mean? Your experience is different than your own brother's experience. Every experience is different. But it's kind of like every tree's experience is different. Every tree. I'm sounding like a hippie right now, but I'm looking at these trees here outside a huge light, and lightning struck one of these two big pine trees. The one pine tree fell to the ground. It's in the middle of the slough. I could show you out here in a second. The other pine tree kept on growing. I wonder if either of those pine trees, they didn't try to fight anything that happened to them. Human beings are the only people who try to go against what is the way life is going to go. You're just going to live life and then you're going to die, you know?
So do you think that, back to my question, but before you answered it that way, do you think that we press too hard to change the inevitable? Is it okay to work harder than the next guy? Are we supposed to let it come as it's going to come? Are we allowed to make our own path? Are we? Well, how do we do that? Because that tree can't. That tree can't. It only has one way to go.
Well, in our perception, it can't.
True.
I suppose if you were a spiritual being, not of this earth, then your perception of us would say we would look like the tree. Maybe not, though. I don't have the answers. I don't know. To me, it seems like there's a lot more going on around us that we can't see, you know? I don't know.
Okay, so then take it to songwriting. And what is your belief in why some songs go and some don't? Is it where are they? Where are they supposed to go? You write unbelievable songs, but then this song over here that a lot of people would never put on that level goes to this height, but this one stays down here. Is that already figured out before you even start writing that song? Like, how does it work out? Like, how do you compare it to what you're doing to make a living? If you're saying that, you know, people can look at us and know that, hey, we're just like those trees, we really aren't supposed to get in the way, then why isn't everything equal?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answers.
Well, I depend on you for these kind of answers, though.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure the shit out too, man. But then I'm also trying to not try too hard to figure it out, because what does it all really matter anyway? I don't know. I don't know that anything matters, but I try to live like it all matters, but I don't know how much it all really does matter. You know, I don't know.
So when you say that you live like it all matters, are you still of the mindset that it's okay to be high sometimes, it's okay to be down sometimes, it's okay to be lonely and depressed sometimes, and happy and high and buzzed and stoned sometimes, and straight and sober sometimes, and you still enjoy it all?
Absolutely. I enjoy all of that equally. Yes. It's all part of the experience.
If you had to put a guess, just an estimated guess, on how many people would answer that question the way you just did, how many Americans, let's just take America, how many Americans, percentage-wise, would you guess would answer it, I enjoy all of that equally?
I don't know. Probably not very many. I don't know.
Because it's not normal to hear somebody say that they enjoy being depressed. Yeah. I've tried to explain to people how you explained it to me, and they're like, how could you like being depressed? And I tell them that Brent says that is the way that, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's being dark once in a while is what life is all about. So you can see the light. You got to go through the bad to enjoy the good, even though, who's to say what's good and bad? But if you get broken up with, that's dark spot. That could become a dark time. But what is it really teaching you for what's around the corner?
What's it teaching you 10 years later? You're a different person because of that, going through the darkness and accepting the darkness. Now, when you're in the middle of it, it's not as easy to accept. But it's kind of like a bad mushroom trip. I have experienced some psilocybin. I've experimented with some psilocybin, not just partying, but just it's an amazing substance. What psilocybin is the part of the chemical that in mushrooms, magic mushrooms, that make you trip, and when you experience those type of things, sometimes you can have a bad trip and it ain't very fun, and it's going to last a while. It's going to last a few hours. Anytime I've ever had a bad trip on psilocybin, the next day I still learned something through it. It was bad, but you learned something, you know? And I've also had equally informative experiences through just praying, completely sober. I've prayed to God and I've tripped the same way you would with psilocybin. And in those moments, just like life, you go through bad shit. And when you get through it, if you'll wait it out and you get through it, you're going to learn something. You're going to be different, you know?
As a father, and I know how you feel about your family, you've made it evident to me as a friend over the last 24 and a half months. Do you fear for those hard times and those dark times and those bad times and those breakups and getting cut from the varsity volleyball team, or not being the prettiest girl in class, or not being the most popular boy, maybe even getting bullied? Do you fear for that when you look at your kids now, even though you know that we have to learn to go through the dark times, and you yourself have done it? I have done it a lot. Uh-huh. How do you tell them that? How do you feel as a dad when you know those kids that are so part of your being, right? Your makeup, you and your wife. How do you do that? Like, how are we supposed to look at that as parents, knowing that they're going to have to witness that or experience that?
I fear for their spirit and the lack of experience that there's, like, I worry now is a different time than it was when I grew up. It's a different time than you grew up. It's easier now for other thoughts and other people's thoughts to infiltrate my kids' thoughts, especially on those ages. You know, when Lila gets to be 12 or Tuck gets to be 12, you know, it's easier for all around the world, other thoughts to infiltrate my kids' happy thoughts or sad thoughts, or happy spirit or sad spirit. And yeah, it worries me. All I can do is hope that I set up a foundation enough for them now, for when those times do come, that they may willingly accept the fact that I think it's a fact that it's okay to be sad and to feel depressed, and they ain't going to last forever. And, you know, you have to, even in those times, this is to my kids, that even in those times, you have to know that it's all a part of this experience of life that is temporary. And just like those feelings are temporary, I hope that I will have set a foundation up enough for them to accept whatever it is going on in their life, you know, and to be grateful for it, you know, I hope.
Do you ever wish that you had the power to stop the hands of time, or do you enjoy taking life as it comes, at the speed that it comes, and at the rate when our dads would say, trust me, you're going to be right here someday. Hey, time flies. Time flies when you're having fun. Man, the good days just come and go so fast. It's almost like I was with you on a bus singing songs in February, and it seems like it was last night, and it's literally been 7 months. I'm 45. I feel like I was in my 20s yesterday. I know that you're not scared to die, but do you ever wish you could slow it down because you feel like it's out of control?
Absolutely. Yeah, but I wouldn't want to slow it down if it wasn't such a blessing. I didn't know that it was fleeting. If I knew it was forever, I wouldn't want to slow it down. And I talked to Lila. My daughter she's a lot like I was as a kid. Even as a kid, I knew that those were some of the best days of my life, you know, and I knew that moment wasn't going to last forever. And knowing that and being aware of that was sad, but it was also exciting because it made me really take advantage of the present moment that I was in. And Lila's the same way. She asks me, you know, we have those back porch conversations in the evenings. We'll sit out on the steps, back porch, and look up at the stars and just let her talk about whatever's on her mind. and she's a pretty heavy 6-year-old. She thinks pretty heavy, and she has said, she's like, did you know? She said the other night, she said, these days that we're in right now, they're like the old days. They'll be the old days someday. And I said, I know, baby. That's the way I thought when I was a kid too. This exact moment, right now, me and you having this conversation tomorrow will be a part of the old days, which on one hand is sad a little bit because it's going to be in the past. But on the other hand, the present moment is the simplest it'll ever be, because as time goes by, it's going to get more complicated. So you have to appreciate the simplest moment. Anytime you think about the past, everybody has hard times, but for the most part, when you think about the past, you think about them as the good old days. Man, things used to be a lot more simple back 20 years ago. So if that's true, 20 years from now, we're going to be thinking, man, things were a lot simpler in these days. And I think we have to always be aware of that,
So if your heavy thinking 6-year-old daughter, Layla, comes up to dad and says, Daddy, what kind of songs do you sing? Assuming that she doesn't already know for herself, but she wants you to tell her, how do you define what you do as far as, I'm not trying to transition out of what we're talking about. I'm just trying to talk about, because I know that when you hear a question or when you hear a 6-year-old say that to you as one of, if not my favorite songwriter, you got to be thinking like there's a song in that. Because when I heard you say these days or the old days already, like can you define to a 6-year-old what your music is? Or do you even know at this time what your music is? Because people are like, well, what kind of music does Brent Cobb sing? I mean, I don't know if you even can define it with how heavy some of the lyrics are. I don't even know if you can, and you're the one that makes it up.
I just came up with a slogan for what I do that I would say to Lila too. I say, well, baby, I do country music for grown folks. and you can be 6 years old and be a grown folk. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
It depends on how far you want to think. This country music for grown folks. That's what I think I do.
I don't know if I could argue that. I don't know, but I would say that people that I did not assume were growing, or I made a assumption about, but then they heard it and I was surprised of like, oh wow, everybody gets it. So like, that's a validation to you of like how it hits. Like before we started this, I showed you those screenshots of what I was being told by a friend. As you sit here today in this weird year of 2020, Brent Cobb, do you find balance and acceptance in where you're at because of your body of work, that you're so passionate about that body of work because it's you? Do you find acceptance and balance every day, or do you find, going back to 15 minutes ago in this conversation, do you find yourself ever overreaching or getting in that ideology that something's got to give and I got to do something different? Do you ever get like that?
I don't know. I don't really think about it that much. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, everybody looks back sometimes at whatever they were thinking and go, man, maybe I was trying too hard. I don't know. I don't really think about it.
Okay, so we're 3 songs into the new album that drops next month, and I love talking about that part of what you do, because I think that the first 3 songs off of this album, I'm going to name them: The World Is Ending, Keep Them on Their Toes, and Shut Up and Sing. I think they're a lot different from what people have heard. Now, they're going to know it's Brent Cobb, but the lyrics in these songs, and I think it was one of your goals with the production of this album, was the out front lyric that is going to stick. And these first 3 cuts off of this album are amazing. Okay, so kudos to you for writing them and whoever your co-writers are. I know you've heard that from me a million times. There's only so many times I can say that to where you're going to be like, "Old buddy, it's okay. I get it. You like my music. I know. I get it." But the messaging in these is pretty deep, Brent Cobb. As simple as they are, it's pretty deep to me. Like when I hear the lines about "Don't show them your hand with the hot pot," like I'm almost like, how in the hell can a human being think along the lines of saying it that way? Because, and then when you hear the new cut of "Shut Up and Sing," I got like at least 60 questions for you about that song, which we're not going to get into all of them. But when you're writing an album like this, are you intentional? Is Brent Cobb intentional with the lyrics? Are you trying to say something that's not just, hey, this is for your enjoyment and your entertainment, and that you're going to brush your teeth and do your hair in the shower this morning dancing around to my music? Are you intentional with these lyrics?
Yes. Partly the first part of it is I'm searching myself for understanding of the world around me. That's the first inspiration is that. But then, yes, when I write, here's the thing, Chad, you and I are similar in we grew up in a certain place. I grew up in a real rural place, very small town place. There are a bunch of the certain type of same people, a lot of people think the same. But it's like that everywhere, all over the country, all over the world. And so I have been fortunate enough for my career has drawn me out of where I'm from and to go experience life in everywhere, all over the country, all over the world. And the one common thread that I have discovered is that everybody feels the same way. Everybody feels as strongly about whatever their opinion is as the person that opposes their opinion entirely. But they both feel equally as strong about whatever it is they believe in. The trouble is sometimes neither of them have experienced each other's side of the river, which is a song on the album, This Side of the River. And I wanted this album when I was writing it to let folks know that, hey, you ain't alone. Everybody feels the way you do might be about something different, but they feel the same way that you do about whatever you believe in. And it's not uncommon. You're not the only one that feels that strong about whatever it is you're talking about,
Even though it's not the same as the person on the other side of the river, per se. It's like I think that's a really good way of saying, in maturing into my life, I believe that to where no matter what my let's say political views, I'm not going to get into them, but my political views, I believe in them. But the person that doesn't believes just as strongly in his or hers over here. And maybe you can meet in the middle of that river, or at least come over to my porch one day and see it from my side, and I'll go over and do it from you. At least we could have a conversation and at least be educated.
It seemed like back, when I was growing up, the internet didn't exist. And if you had a differing opinion, you sat around the kitchen table and had coffee with those people who didn't believe what you believed, and you might have an argument at the coffee table, but then by the evening, everybody'd be hugging and saying a prayer together and having dinner. You know what I mean? And that still exists, but it's gotten so polarized that people don't even know how to hug each other anymore, even though they believe something different. They don't realize that we're all just still human, and nobody wants to even take the time to look at what someone else believes, even though they believe equally in what they're not telling it to you because they don't believe in it. They believe in it just the same, and you're doing the same. You're telling them because you believe in it. So if for no other reason that we can get on the same page, we could at least get on that same page. You know what I mean? That we all grew up different, and that we all believe in something,
Brent Cobb, do you think that social media has destroyed the fabric of our culture and our society? Because my brother called it a long time ago. He said this will be the downturn. which is a great Adam Hood song, by the way. But this will be the downfall and the downturn of society. And in a way, listening to you talk like that, it has been because of we already think. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we're in the very early stages still of social media. So, yes, right now it's like a kid who just got his first BB gun. And all you want to do is shoot cans with that BB gun. You're excited about it. You know, everybody has just got social media, man. We're still early and everybody's excited about shooting the shit out of some cans. And I think eventually, you know, we'll start going, man, I wonder how you clean this gun. I wonder how you keep this gun shooting. And I wonder, maybe my friend, you know, your friend's going to ask you to borrow that BB gun. You know what I mean? Like, I think social media eventually will come to a place where we start analyzing, like, we'll think more about it than right now. We're just shooting just to shoot because we've never gotten to take the shot before, you know?
I wonder if any American or anybody in the world has ever analyzed social media like you just did. I'm
Like
going to say, but it's so perfect. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to sing a lyric to you because you mentioned the river, and I've been listening to this song, and this isn't your song, but you're going to know the song because you gave me this song. I made a fire up on a hill. I sat in the woods and I drank my fill. I talked to God all night. I took another shot and it set me right. I walked down to the road and I filled a beer can full of 22 holes and I said goodbye. Now, when I say those words, like just say them like I just did, it sounds so simple. But why is that song so genius? And I'm talking about the great Chris Knight, who was on the show last week.
Oh, you had Chris on?
Yeah. And I said, have you ever heard of Brent Cobb? And he says, verbatim, and you can listen to the episode. He goes, I don't know if I said, have you heard him? But he goes verbatim, I like him a lot. And I was like, I swear on my life, you'll be able to hear it on the episode. So when I hear the lyrics that he says in that song, it's called Rural Route. The song that I knew of Chris Knight before you introduced me to Rural Route, he has a line about even if I had to gun him down. He just spent 3 minutes telling me that he's been framed for this murder of his wife's, her affair that she's been having. And then in the last verse, he says that he really got framed by the wife and the guy, and he had to gun him down. You know, he was hellbound. Why is he so special as a songwriter? Because when you listen to his lyrics, it puts me in a place of, I literally can't, it's like your music. I have to have it to live my life. Why is Chris Knight so important to the fabric of songwriting? Or is he, and I'm just overzealous of his lyrics?
No, I think it's for the same reasons that we're talking about any of this stuff. I think that Chris also understands that he's from rural Kentucky. He's from Slaughter, Kentucky, but he understands that people are people. It don't matter where you go. And he might have a different way of describing those emotions, but they're the same emotions nonetheless that everybody experiences. And I think that's why he's so important.
Do you consider him one of the best? And this is a hard question for you because you work with a lot of these songwriters and singers and entertainers and performers and artists. Is he one of the best of all time with the body of work that he has put out there?
Absolutely. Yeah. He's the best at what he does for sure. And just as a songwriter in general, absolutely. I mean, there's no one else has. When I say voice, I don't mean the tone of his voice. I just mean like his voice. Nobody else has that voice. Nobody's going to say it like Chris Knight said it, you know, that's what it's about to me.
I know that you know a lot of people and you could get a concert ticket to pretty much anybody in Nashville. Would you pay to see a Chris Knight show acoustically or full band?
Both. Hell yeah. First time I ever saw him, we opened for him at the Georgia Theater in Athens, Georgia. This is probably 2012, 2013. And he had, on the way there, his van broke down. And so there were super late getting the sound check. And we played our show and then came down, and there weren't many folks there, but my banjo player at the time, Chase McGill, who now he's just like on fire as a songwriter, but really good dude from Mississippi. He knew Chris's music a lot more than I did. And we went in, he's like, you got to listen. We got to go watch some of Chris's set. So we go in, and it's just him acoustic, and he plays Rural Route. It's the first time I ever heard that song. And, dude, I ain't joking. I started crying right there in the middle of the crowd, man.
I know. That's where I was going with my questioning of buying a ticket. Why did you start crying to those lyrics? Are they that deep?
It stirred something in my soul, man. I don't know. I don't really know. And it's that universal spirit. You know?
Do you know the song by heart to where you could cover it?
Hell yeah, I'll do it right now.
Oh, wait a minute, Brent. I want to make sure that this internet's good for this. I had no idea this was going to happen. Can you hear me?
I might screw it up. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I got good reception because I don't want this missed. This is going to be unbelievable.
Well, if it doesn't happen, then screw it. But you got me right now.
Yeah, just Chris Knight, come on.
I built a fire on a hill, sat in the woods, drank my fill, and I talked to God all night. Took another shower, set me right, then I walked down to the road. Filled a big can full of 22 holes, and I said goodbye. Yeah, I said goodbye. I go back, but I can't go home. The river is up and the road is closed. There ain't no telephone at my mother's house. All the lights are out down on the rural. Ain't much of nothing left. Oh shoot, I remember the second verse. Yeah,
there ain't much of nothing left in the place where I became myself.
I became myself.
Ghost in memory. No. Ghost in memories.
I seen my brother. That's right. All the ghosts and memories. I don't remember all of it, man.
Ghost in memories.
I saw Penny down at the bank. Asked me if I've seen my brother. I just said no. Well, I guess I gotta go. I go back, but I can't go home. Boy, that's good now.
I saw
It's just a conversation. It's just this. I mean, I think that's what he says. I saw Penny down at the bank. I might be wrong on that lyric.
Oh, it is. That's right. And it's like that line right before we had a bad connection, but you got me?
Yeah, I got you.
It was ghost in memories. I'd walk on by, but they'd follow me. And that line right there, I'm just like, damn it, man. Like, so when I had him on, I asked him, I said, well, what is it? What's this song? He said, I grew up on Rural Route 1, and he says his daddy's name. He says John C. Knight or whatever, Rural Route 1. I'm just like, good Lord, like everything you just said, like the river songs about how and his brother, he'd light up that boat motor and go get groceries, and one day I'm going to see what this does when I ain't got it loaded down with the groceries. And I'm like, dude, it's just cool shit, right?
You damn right.
I could listen to that library over and over again.
Is that episode available now?
It will be next week, and I'm going to send it to you. I'll send you the link because he said I want to come back on. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and
that's awesome. I
was just like, man, it's like when you get kind of jaded, I think, in this life because you know everybody in this industry. I mean, you've wrote with Chris Stapleton, who's arguably the best voice in country music right now. But just having him on here and hearing him say my name and talk to me, and then having him text me, Brent Cobb, and say thank you, I was like, that's freaking Chris Knight, man.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
I saw a quote that a mutual a friend of yours, Miranda Lambert, said that she felt like a 15-year-old meeting Justin Bieber when she met Chris Knight for the first time.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely the case, man. A 15-year-old meeting Justin Bieber, that's how it feels when you meet Chris Knight as a songwriter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Before we get off of him, do you think that the basis of It Ain't Easy Being Me is one of the, like, it's got to be one of the top songs, just the way that he describes that town and that bridge and walk on over to the other side where I'd sit and stare through the smoke, wondering how I'm going to get back after you've already screwed up your life by burning that. Like, is there a better way to put life than that song?
Yeah, I said you'd have a hard time trying to find a better way of describing it.
Killer lyrics, right? So when you start talking about the new stuff with you, does Shut Up and Sing mean that when I'm watching an award show that I just want to be entertained, or if I'm at a concert and I just want to go see somebody sing a song, that platform should not be used, even though it is their platform? Is it okay for them to get up and press religious beliefs or political beliefs or any kind of belief? I'm trying to figure out, I'm sure everybody's going to have a different meaning of what the song is, but to me, it's like, unless you got something important to say, I'm just going to shut up and sing. What does it mean, or is it up for argument?
I think it's up for argument. For me, though, I'm better at articulating my thoughts and feelings through song. And so I'm not as good at having a conversation about it. So I would rather shut up and sing. I think that some people, they like to talk about what their thoughts and feelings are. Some artists are that way, and that's fine. They do what they like to do. But for me, I'm better at just shutting up and singing. And but however, I do wonder, had social media existed in the 60s, would we have had The Times They Are A-Changin' by Bob Dylan? You know what I mean? That's a beautiful song or Born in the USA, by The Boss. Like, sometimes songs are more accepted than someone who people feel like are preaching at them. I think it might be more effective, and it's definitely more all-inclusive. If you have a song, you could mean one thing, but you have people who don't agree eye to eye on whatever you're singing about. They might all sing that song together. And that's a beautiful thing,
Very. Are you getting feedback that you expected on the song? Has there been any feedback from anybody that threw you for a loop or made you think a little bit of like, I wasn't expecting that?
No, everything that's been said has been expected. It's done exactly what I hoped it do. It's so funny though, because you read these comments where people try to figure out what side of the fence I'm on, which is exactly what the song is about. It's like, we have all this shit going on in the world, and this happens all the time in politics and everything, where instead of focusing on whatever the task is, people get so off track with trying to figure out what somebody represents, instead of let's focus on whatever the thing is that we should be focusing on. Instead, everybody gets off on a tangent arguing about what I believe. What I believe doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what I believe,
I agree. I think that it's a very good lesson in life to understand that what you just said. Nobody cares. Shut up and sing, or shut up and play baseball, or shut up and shoot the basketball, or just do it.
Or if you feel if your thing is to go preach it, people preach it, people. It's just not my thing. You know what I mean? I would rather shut up and sing.
I like when you do that. I mean, I like hearing you talk, but I also like when you shut up and sing. At one time you had told me that your favorite part of touring is going back home, which is just an awesome way of putting it. Do you miss it right now even more than you did 3-4 months ago when we talked? Is it starting to get to you that you're not out there with the boys?
Now that I can't do it, yes, I wish I could. Isn't it funny how that works? But yeah, I can't wait. I hope we get to go back and play songs. I hope maybe by spring of next year, maybe we'll be able to get back on it.
When are you allowed personally to travel to take a trip? Like I tried, I tried 30 days ago, but now when are you allowed to?
I mean, I could take a trip whenever. I mean, it's, personally, I could do I can do whatever. Now, when we were going to do that thing, your deal, it was a little weird because things started blowing up again, and you just never knew. But
so if I sent you a date and I said, "Hey, could you at least look into this one?" Would you try to look into it for me?
I would.
Okay, I'm going to today.
All right.
Is there anything on the horizon that we can expect? The new vinyl's coming out. The vinyl is kind of you alluded to mushrooms earlier. It's all, I think it has something to do along the theme of mushrooms. Is this allowed to be talked about? Has it been released to public? And why? What gives you this idea? I'm obsessed with vinyl. How do you come up with this design or create the creative on this one?
Well, through my experiences of psilocybin and praying, here's the thing. I'll get to the creative part of it, but the psilocybin, you can achieve the same experience through praying. Psilocybin mushrooms, they just get you there quicker. And so through these experiences, it caused me to write this whole album of, when you're tripping, you kind of have this feeling of oneness with everything, and that, time doesn't matter. It's all happening. It already all happened. It's all going to happen at the same time. And I may not have wrote this album had it not been through that experience. And so I wanted to incorporate the dancing mushrooms on the album, on the vinyl cover.
At one time, Brent Cobb, you said in an interview, or I may have been eavesdropping on something, I can't remember it, and you might not even remember saying it, but you said after Shine on Rainy Day that you never knew you'd have another opportunity to put out another album. You had no idea that people would accept it the way now. You had earlier music out, but there's people like Rob Snyder that have told me, Channing Wilson said it on this podcast, when he heard Shine on Rainy Day and then the album in its entirety, he was blown away. Like, he goes, what in the hell is going on? Brent Cobb is onto something. Then all of a sudden Providence comes out. You got King of Alabama about Wayne. You got songs on there that are just freaking genius. Has your mindset changed on the forward momentum or the forward focus of where you're bounded to go with this career? Because now I've heard from people that are on the radio now, Travis Denning on this podcast said this. Ray Fulcher, who's a songwriter in Nashville, said this, that in 10 years, Brent Cobb will be the biggest thing in country music. Does that mean anything to hear you with people that are there, that they got some hits out on the radio that you've written with, some you haven't written with? Does that stick with you? Does it hit home with you that you have that reputation amongst the people that are in Nashville? Has it hit home, or are you still like, this might be my last record kind of attitude?
I've always played the long game, and I always hoped that eventually, if you stay in it, anything you do, eventually you'll become the influence, and so now I'm starting to see some of that, where people that are coming to town, they have listened to me for a long time, because they're into the songwriters and that sort of thing. But I don't approach making an album any differently. I always make an album as though I might die the day after it comes out. And what would I want my children, like, if I wasn't able to be around, how would I want them to know what their daddy thought, And I tried to do that with Providence, with Shine on a Rainy Day, with this album. And at this point, I'm making a decent living doing it. And so I don't plan to not ever make an album again. But at the same time, you know, if I can't make an album again, I've at this point said anything that I could say. And but yeah, as long as I can keep doing it, I'm going to keep doing it. It's never a to hell with it thought process. It's just I'm going to do it as long as I can do it, you know.
So how long does the mindset take to transition from the current album that's getting ready to release in 30 days to sights on the next one? Do you already know that you're writing for another album right now, or does it take a little bit? Like a baseball player gets done with the World Series and he goes to Vegas and parties a little bit before spring training in a couple months.
For sure. Well, I've started to develop already the idea of what I think the theme of the next album will be. I haven't yet started writing the actual songs for it, and it may take a completely different turn than what I think it's going to take. I really don't know until I get closer, because right now, like you said, I mean, I hadn't even released this album, so it's kind of hard to. My mind is still on those songs, so. You know, until we get it out, yeah, there's definitely a lag time. You know, there's definitely a time between albums that I start thinking about it.
We've had discussions about a friend of yours named Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan can sing a country song. Luke's been in a lot of discussions about some of the songs that he has put out. His new album is freaking awesome. Okay. Like, it's awesome. There's one song on there I don't like. There's one song on there I don't like. I'll never like it. The first song I think it is with,
is that Where Are We Going?
No, that song is awesome. But this song is called what's it called? Shaking Boots, Knocking Boots. I'm just not a big fan of it. But you have a cut on here that I think it's got double meaning too, or is it self-explanatory? I
brought a piece of that song in, the idea, and I had the title. And on one side of it, there is a deeper meaning. Where are we going when we leave here? You know? But I thought it was neat. He and I both started dating our wives in a similar fashion. They started dating in college. Me and my wife started dating when she was in college. And, you know, we wanted to capture, on the surface level, we wanted to capture just that story of, you know, starting to date somebody. But yes, there is a deeper, more spiritual, where are we going when we leave here?
I thought so. It's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
Mutual, another friend of yours, Randy Montana, has a song about a boat on there that is very good in my opinion. It's a country album, man. It's like, it's country. It's just got a lot of country to it, and I like it.
He's great, dude.
Randy or Luke?
Luke's got both. Luke's got a lot to say, man. I don't think folks realize it, you know, and it's cool because he hadn't shown all of his cards. He still has some aces up in sleeves, you know.
What happened last week? Are you allowed to give me any insight of Capricorn? And are you proud of what happened? And are we going to be blown away by what you and Adam are getting ready to put out? Will we hear your voice on the new Adam Hood record? Who was involved?
I've yet to put my voice on the Adam Hood album, but Adam just asked me if I would. Here's how it all happened. So last year he was talking about making a new album, and I said, man, I don't want any credit, but if you will just let me help you pick songs for this album, I would love to be a part of that process. And because he's one of my best friends, but I'm also a huge fan of his, you know? And so there are 2 or 3 conversations, and finally he just said, well, why don't you just produce the damn thing? And but I said, okay. And then Ben Ratliff, who is managing Adam now, he is the one that actually put together the Blackberry Smoke at Capricorn. And what an amazing way of making an album, especially an Adam Hood album. I mean, that's historic already. And I told Adam that if it turns out great, then it's because I'm just a fan. And if it turns out terrible, it's because I'm just a fan. And you can expect a album of Hood's that it just hits a little harder than the last albums that he's made. You know, I wanted this album to feel like, you know, when Adam walks in the room, he's like, I'm Adam Hood, man. I wanted you to feel that character. I wanted you to feel him, you know. That's what we tried to accomplish.
He did one on here that you pinned with him, helped him pin, called The Harder Stuff. And I was blown away by it. He was on the podcast the day before yesterday, and I was blown away by the lyrics and the harder stuff. Is this a powerful song in your opinion?
Absolutely. I went through 260 songs by Adam Hood over the course of 2 months. And that was the first song that I knew for sure we had to record.
Wow. How long ago did he start that song?
A month or two ago. It was one of the most recent ones that he had been writing, and he sent it to me, and it floored me. I was like, dude, that's the album we got to make, man. And so then I based the rest of the songs that I helped him pick off of that one song. Now they don't all, that's a ballad. See, I don't want to give too much away, but it's badass. I can't wait for you to hear it.
Before I ask my question about the band you named in there that helped with this project, if you could only pick one more Adam Hood song to hear, and they were all going away, they're going, they're getting burnt, and you'll never hear another Adam Hood song again, what would it be? Could you pick one?
Oh, God, that's a tough question, man.
I know, because there's so many.
I loved his cover. It's a cover song. It's not even one he wrote, but that cover, I know a girl named Dee Dee. Said she was a woman, Bayou Girl. Yeah. Which is actually a Willis Allen Ramsey song. But a song that Adam wrote, man, golly, you put me on the spot. Now I can't think of any of them because I got this whole new album in my mind. But
well, I just put
the shape of things. The shape of things. That song, man,
so strong.
It's so prolific. It's really good, man. Yeah, everything he does. I remember when I didn't realize how prolific of a songwriter he was until we did some touring together in 2010. And then when we got done with our run, I had his whole catalog, and so I was just listening to it. I was like, holy shit, man, this guy has written a song about everything that you could write a song about. So
I put a song of his out the other day on one of my deals called Tennessee Will. And just the way that song starts, like I feel like I'm in BB King's Blues Bar in frickin' in Memphis.
Hold upright piano.
Amazing, right?
See, I wanted this whole album to make you feel like that song made you feel. Yeah.
Well, I put it out there, man, and you can go look. People just started going nuts, man. People I haven't heard from in a good minute are like, I love that song. Who sings that song? Adam. When did you know? Like it was just that song is strong. I don't know if that would be the one you did with him. She Don't Love Me Anymore is a rocking song. That song rips. You know, I love that too. But yeah, he's on a different level, I believe, and I'm glad that he's part of what I get to listen to, and I cannot wait to hear this new stuff. So my question about the band you mentioned, and I know we're getting towards the end of this because I know.
Well, I don't want my phone to die. I'm not able to plug it in.
Friday cold beer time for Brent Cobb.
Yeah.
What you talk about IQ. Baseball players, what's your baseball IQ? Hunting. Well, you got a good hunting IQ. Can you adapt? Do you know what's going on? The musical IQ of Charlie Starr, frontman and founder of Blackberry Smoke. How high is it? And Charlie was on here 2 weeks ago, and the conversation like blew my mind. Is it like way up there, like you're showing with your hand right now?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, there's nobody quite like that guy. I was producing this album, but I would like lean on Charlie and just be like, well, what do you think? And, but he's also just a super sweet dude. So he would never step on any toes or anything, but he's like he's like a guru, you know. You just kind of feel like, I don't know, it just makes you feel better about life and music and everything. He played so much shit. I didn't know, like, he played pedal steel on this album. I didn't even know he played pedal steel, but he can play everything. He's the real deal.
Are you a fan of the band live and on record to listen to their library?
Absolutely. I love them live, and I probably don't know their library as well as I maybe should, but live, they're unbelievable. And yeah, they were awesome to work with in the studio, that rhythm section, Brett and Richard.
Oh, my fall from grace was a sight to see. When I hear that riff, I just lose it, Brent Cobb. I'm like, God, what a way to say that life just took you by the balls and pulled you around a little bit. Did y'all hear what I was saying before about I was telling Adam the other day, Brent, about the reaction. You and I have touched on this with the reaction that people have. And I was talking to Travis Denning about both of you guys, about the consensus that's in my group of all the people that I work with or I associate with or party with or whatever. Everybody loves the music, right? Adam says that his views and his listenership his Shazam numbers go way up when it appears on the TV show or when it appears on a podcast and stuff like that. Where is the music going? And if we keep chipping away, Brent Cobb, if we keep doing what we're doing in our part, is everybody going to be hearing this music the way that I want them to and the way that I feel that they deserve to? Are we on to something here?
I think so, but only time will really tell. It's hard to tell.
You think that we could be, though?
Yeah, I think you're the only one of your stature, caliber that's trying to do what you try to do on your platform, which is really cool because we have a similar demographic. You know what I mean? We're the same kind of folks.
Adam, do you figure when you sit next to Brent Cobb and knowing how long y'all have been friends, do you often ask yourself as his friend, his songwriting companion, his good buddy, why in the hell hasn't he broke? And then do you ever say the same kind of shit about Adam Hood, Brent? Adam, you go first.
I think that with Brent, I think that you know the numbers as far as like people coming to see the shows, I think that can always get better, you know, but the thing is, I feel like that the respect and appreciation from like the industry, I think that's something you pretty much got. I mean, you got a Grammy nomination for, Shine on Rainy Day was Grammy nominated. I mean, that's pretty much your peers accepting something like that. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, that's a pretty good test of how well you've done. And that was kind of out of the gate. I mean, I know you had records before that, but that one was the first one with Dave. And that was a pretty big thing. I mean, got you on Late Night and got you on, you know, stuff like that, Stapleton's tour, you know? And so, I mean, I feel like that as far as that goes, I think you've gotten a lot of that stuff. It's just a matter of the rest of the world finding it. And I mean, the problem is like, you know, you've had big, but yourself somebody are they gonna play your songs on the radio?
I just don't think radio is even a thing to worry about. Yeah, at this point, you know.
I think you're at the top of your game, though. You know?
I think that Adam's been doing it about 15 years longer than I have, and I've been doing it 15 years. And so, someday, I think we're making the album right now that's going to finally get Adam his due. What's funny is, you know how everybody likes to watch movies like Walk the Line or like Ray about the artist and their struggling formative years, and everybody loves to pay a good ticket price to watch that movie after that son of a bitch has already died. Well, Adam is actually in the middle of that real life. Right. I mean, he's given his whole life to this industry and this creative, his whole life. And he's still kicking ass and he's still young considering. And
relatively speaking,
it's, you know, if people are that willing to buy a ticket on a story about a character, but granted, these people are true people, real people, but the movies are based on a particular point in their life. Surely they'll be willing to support that person while they're actually in that moment of their life
in real time,
which is
That makes total sense to me. I think it's hilarious the way that you put it in the context that you put it in. But you think the thesis of it is that we just keep chipping away because that's what you guys are doing. That's what it is. You've dedicated your life to this. I'm just in awe that there's not a huge following just based on the lyric. That's all I'm trying to say, is that the lyric and the delivery is so unbelievable. All you got to do is listen to the first line of Tennessee Will. All you got to do is listen to the first line of Shine. And that should be enough to say, this is the best shit. Yes, that line right there is just America. Like, I picture myself being on Beale Street when I'm in Memphis, and I'm just like get chills about the river and the steamboats and that blind man and BB King's Blues Club. Like, I've been there, I've lived it, I've eaten barbecue, I've listened to the music, I've seen fist fights, I've seen love stories taking place on that street, even though it's not the same as it was when I first started going there in 2002. But when I hear that line, I'm just like, if that isn't America, and if that isn't like what you need to be putting into your ears. But the problem is that everybody that effing hears it loves it. So I don't understand why you can't get it out there to the masses more, meaning that somebody needs to take a risk on everyday radio. And Brent Cobb says, well, I don't know if radio really matters. I don't know if it does either, because y'all know the industry way better than I do. But all I know is before we got cut off, what I was trying to say is that when I play that song, or I play any of the Cobb library, any of the Adam Hood library, people say, where do I get it? What's his name? What's that song? And the proof is in the pudding. Our consensus of 100 people in my backyard saying the same thing is enough that the whole rest of the world be like, there's never been one person here, an Adam Hood song or a Brent Cobb song, and go, man, turn that shit off. It's quite the opposite every time. And I'm right. You guys know I'm right. People hear your shit and they are mystified. I've had Randy Montana on here. I've had Travis Denning on here. I've had Justin Moore. I told Justin Moore about both of you. He says, that is very good company to be in. Thank you. And he's had 9 #1 hits. He's written #1 hits with David Lee Murphy. And he says that you guys are the company that he wants to be in.
Maybe he'll call us and damn record one of our songs.
I'd like that too. That'd be great. Yeah.
I don't know. I get so fired up, man, because when I listen to those songs today, and I told Brent, I'm always honest with Brent Cobb, Adam. I always tell him, like, I will not go to sleep without hearing a Brent Cobb song sometime since I woke up that day, right? And ever since Brent introduced me to the Adam Hood library, now, like, I find myself struggling at this point in my life. When I do find internal struggle, I relate to Hell of a Fight. And I just think about what you guys have gone through on making that ride back home after that city has kicked your ass for a week or chewed you up and spit you out. And it's happened to hundreds and thousands of artists, don't get me wrong. But you found a way to put it in a context that every artist has been through in that city. It's just weird to me that is not what the world is talking about. And I wish that when I was a kid and I would open up a Hit Parader or a Circus magazine and I'd be reading about my favorite bands, right now I would want to be reading about you guys and your lyrics and what's being written. So I know that you've heard that. I know that people have heard me preach on it before, but I'm being for real. Like, sorry, Brent, go ahead.
I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen.
Well, and your timing is everything. I agree. I think a lot of it has to do with your efforts to do it too, Chad. I mean, we need a champion, somebody to kind of sing. You're doing that.
Hey, Chad, hey. I have to play a show in about an hour, but I have to.
Listen, I'm going to get. Wait a minute. Just end it by this. Adam, say that last part because your internet went out. You said we need a champion, and then we didn't hear one other word. Say what you just said.
You're doing that. I mean, we need somebody to kind of talk, kind of talk the talk about. That's what you're doing,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, look, and I do it because I mean this, and I know Brent's got to go play a show, and you guys don't even need to sing one. I'll just tell people when this is over to go get the freaking music and just listen to and just pay attention to the way you feel after you hear the lyrics of "She Don't Love Me No More," because I've been there, and then listen to "Hell of a Fight" or "Tennessee Will," and then go listen to every single fucking song that Brent Cobb has written and played, or go listen to "Tailgate Blues" by Luke Bryan if you want to hear unbelievable lyrics about having a conversation with yourself and what a tailgate song should sound like. But I appreciate it. And the reason I do it, guys, is because I'm enamored by it. Like, I wake up thinking about the lyric. And I really want people to understand that music is supposed to hit you. And everybody can listen to music for their own reason. But with your guys' library, man, I get so passionate and compassionate about it. Like, those are, first of all, they're my friends. I do anything for them. I love them like brothers from another mother. But when you just break down the talent, and if I didn't know you, Adam Hood, I would think that you were maybe about a 57-year-old black man that just has all of this insight with your delivery and your bluesiness. Like, I mean that. Like, when I hear you lay it down, bro, what's that, Brent? Brent, say what you just said again after I said how I thought that Adam Hood would look.
Oh yeah,
Adam Hood, colorblind. He only sees the blues.
I think that's the album title.
I love it. See, just come up with that shit that quick. But I really do. It's just like there is so much life in this lyric, man. If y'all want to do one, I don't know if it'll play out. I don't know if the microphone's going to hold it, but I'm telling you guys, I have never seen the reaction to music that I see when I put your guys' stuff on. And I wish I could just run people through here and let you hear it. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but I appreciate you coming on here and finish this one out. The new album you're working on right now, you're finishing up Adam Hood's new record. It's going to be a Brent Cobb produced album from Capricorn Studios in Georgia. You're putting the finishing touches on it in Nashville as we speak. When can we expect the release date? And you sang one song on your episode last week, Adam, called the realest stuff. And is it called the realest stuff?
Hey,
It's called the harder stuff.
The harder stuff.
Yeah, we'll probably. I would imagine I won't do anything this year. We'll probably put a single out, but we'll probably wait for the album release to come out next year. I mean, that'd probably be the safest bet, just because, when you put out a record, you really want to tour to support it. So, we kind of want to wait till those doors open. And we got some opportunities coming next year that we would kind of like to hold off on. But yeah, we'll put a single out for the end of the year this year for sure.
I've been hearing rumors, man. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And we made some plans today that I get to see you in less than a month. Well, a month from tomorrow. No, a month from today. A month from today.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait, dude. I've been working on the venue today. I got some. It's going to be a killer time. My birthday party is going to be played and headlined by the great Adam Hood. Adam, thanks for jumping in there. I know you're busy. Go rest your vocal cords. Get this album out. I can't wait to hear it. Tell Brent thank you. I know he had to run off to get on stage. Are you going to watch him?
Yeah. I'm probably going to finish up watching kind of what's going on in the studio, and then I'll probably head over there with him. So
where's he playing tonight?
Thank you. He's doing something at Bobby's Idol Hour. Our buddy Mondo Signs does he puts it on his YouTube page and just has a guest and stuff like that. So I think Brent's going to do that Brent Cobb version of the Bobby's Idol Hour. I did it week before last.
Awesome. Well, you take off and I'll finish this up and tell people where to find the music. I appreciate you, brother. I'll see you soon. And I can't wait to hear the new album.
Thanks, brother. See you soon, man.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
See ya.
See ya. Ladies and gentlemen, Brent Cobb. We got a little bit of Adam Hood there right at the end. And go find their music. I'm telling you, the lyrics are so powerful, the entire library. And I apologize for the audio, the technical difficulties, COVID, the California fires. It's a weird year. We got to keep our chins up. We got to stay within the rope, stay focused, stay in our lane. We're going to come out of this, man. It's as frustrating as heck when we've seen what's been going on with America right now. And I ain't bitching. It ain't no pity party, but we got to come together and figure this out. And music is one way that I do that with myself. Personally, I like to sit in a hot tub and listen to Brent Cobb, Adam Hood, Leith Lofton, Drake White, Kyle Daniel, Paul McDonald. I can keep going on and on and on about who I love, but just check it out on the Foul Life playlist right now, available on Apple Music, soon to be on Spotify. And do yourself a favor and go download Shine On Rainy Day album, Providence Canyon album, Brent Cobb's new songs off of his upcoming album, Keep 'Em on Their Toes, and Adam Hood's entire library on Apple Music and Spotify is genius. So go listen to him, support him. We're proud to be friends with him. I can't wait to see him again in person. Adam's going to be out here playing my birthday party next month. I'm excited for that. This has been another episode of This Life Ain't For Everybody podcast, brought to you by our friends Lynchburg, Tennessee, Jack Daniels. Enjoy it responsibly. Never allow underage drinking. Everything in moderation. Thank you all so much for the subscriptions and the downloads and all the ratings and reviews. My name's Chad Belding. We are going to go out with an Adam Hood song, right? We're going to go out with a duo song, a duo. This is called She Don't Love Me Anymore. She Don't Love Me No More. She Don't Love Me. It's written in so many different ways on your sources, but just go look up She Don't Love Me. Adam Hood featuring Brent Cobb, Jake and Tom. Hit that button. Thank you all so much.